maybe start from from the other end of this line. You talk about what the city's thinking about in public art. Why this moment that we really want to use this as a form and to promote that citywide.
Thank you for that. One thing that's important is when we drive around or walk around our community, our neighborhoods, it's important that we see reflections of ourselves, and art should uplift you. One thing, my daughter is the art teacher at the Elliott School, and fortunately, with the changes of the BTS zone line, there's more families from Chinatown, and herself and a few other teachers made sure that this past year, with the Asian New Year that they celebrated, and they had 400 families want to come and celebrate what they consider a new group, like a new community in their school, the Asian community. And I do want to shout out Gary for helping with the decorations for the Elliott School that night. But it was wonderful to see. Sometimes you don't know, like, will people show up? And everyone was so excited to see, like, the lion dance and see the different, art and expression from the different cultures, which I think is so important. But it's also important that when we're investing, we have a whole arts department in the city of Austin that we're making sure that what we put in different communities is what those neighbors, those business owners that they want to see, and that it's reflecting their culture also, that they're not just looking at things that they don't see or understand. When I was a young girl, my uncle was stationed in Haiti, and we visited something I remember I've talked to you about, and this was in the mid-70s, and my mother and dad really loved the art from Haiti, and there was Haitian art in my house. And in the neighborhood I lived in the mid-70s, when people came over, they were very confused, like, what is that? Why is that here? And my mom still has many of the pieces in her home today, but I just remember thinking, well, it was beautiful, and we visited, and we brought it back. So I think the more we expose, especially our young children, and that they should be proud and not hide where they came from, because I think many times people feel like if it's different, they don't want to express it or show it. So that's important that we as a city are showing it in a big way in art installations around the city.
Thank you, Councilman. 你好. I am very delighted to bring you greetings on behalf of our wonderful mayor, Michelle Wu, and our Chief of Arts and Culture, Carl Elliott Ortega, who couldn't be here, but that I had an interview earlier this month about arts in the city. As a Haitian American, the first day of May has a lot of significance for me, just like it has for the AAPI. It's Haitian Heritage Month, and we're talking about arts. Arts is reflected everywhere you walk in the Haitian communities. And I have my wonderful daughter here from BLS that will be part of the segment later on today to talk about arts and the youth, and cannot not say greetings to my wonderful friend from Hangzhou. So you spent a month in Hangzhou last year. I spent a week. Not enough. That was the first time, not the last. But the city of Boston wants to make sure that everyone is included. Just like you say, we all belong. We don't want you to find yourself in a neighborhood by accident, but because you heard of a wonderful mural that is being painted. Wherever you turn in Boston, we see arts, and we encourage all the kids to participate in what's happening, to make sure that everyone is included, is at the center of what's happening. Arts is a reflection of life. Arts, just like music, is a soundtrack of life.
So, I'm just going through this order. So, Mr. May, you are an artist based in Boston area and also, from China. So maybe you can talk a little bit about your own creation, and how you use art as a means to, connect these two different cultural heritages that you have. but also like what do you like to present to the city and people who would have access and be able to see your artwork?
Thank you. So first, I want to say thank you for Gary to organize this forum for everybody's here. As an artist in Chinatown for almost 40 years, so before I was in China and as a teacher, and then come here as a part of artists also, and then I move over to Boston. So so we have a Chinese American Fire Society, which is founded in Chinatown for so far it's almost 30 years. So done a lot of Chinese art culture things around, such as Chinese calligraphy, Chinese painting, Chinese poem, and of course, association it has some Western art, like watercolors, painting also, society. Right? So so far, because COVID, so our associations already don't have the location anymore. But before we have art galleries and located in Chinatown for a long time. So until 2019, 5 years ago we closed up. So anyway, so far as when you're talking about the public work, so myself, I did do one when our works turned to 2,000 years, and then I wrote 2,000 character of the longevity. One character means 1 year, so 2,000. So at that moment, it's from who is the Boston commission is Bruce, but I forgot the last name. He's already retired. Then our association, we have talked to him to make that kind of a big monument, but the thing is, it's hard for us. Since like a language problem or the associations, everything's it's not that easy to influence the whole society, especially the decision department of the government. So that's why my 2,000 longevity of the monument is very big. So it's finally set up in my hometown in China. But right now I do plan 100 fortunes by photo as the art monument to set up in Chinatown area to strong the Chinese culture signals around Chinatown areas. I think that will be good for the business for the Chinatown area of Boston, business, and because the 100 fortunes by foot two, that monument is being somewhere as the small, relaxed garden, and then people can take a picture, and it will be good for the people visiting to Chinatown or visiting to the Boston areas or even Chinatown. So right now Chinatown has the food as our, Chinese food as a food culture, but the other will be like a Chinese character culture. So that you can make it like that. So the same as the other cities such as Chicago, New York. Okay, thank you.
So Principal Chang, and of course Quincy Josiah the school, Josiah Quincy School is such an important public school in the Boston area. And I told you earlier, I live in a neighborhood that pass by that school all the time, almost every day. And so I know today is actually our real stars. The participants are the children, and as a head of this very important school, maybe you can share with us a little bit, in your experience, how art has been part of this, children's education, and you see, our education's impact on the children.
Sure. Hello, everyone, and welcome to our visitors from Hangzhou. So I have been at the Josiah Quincy Upper School for 18 years now. The first 6 as history teacher, and then Dr. Bafan Wang, my principal, retired, and he said, "You're up now." And my background, my mother's from Shandong, my father's from Anhui, but they went to Taiwan, and then I was in Taiwan when I was 4 years old. So I learned Chinese or Mandarin then, and then came to the United States when I was 8 years old. So English is my second language. And then Mandarin was barely my first language, because when I went back to Taiwan, my Chinese name is Zhang Keren, 可以是可人爱的人. The distinction is it's very easy to write, because my parents were afraid I couldn't write my own name in Chinese, so they chose a name that was very, very easy to write. So I very much had an immigrant experience growing up. I also just want to add, it's always a challenge for our young people when they're talking about careers and just the life of a young person. I was sharing that I used to be a public defender, Suffolk court in the old courthouse, and then I was a private investment manager. So it was only at age 40. So you're going to do the math now. I became a public school teacher, because that's really what I wanted to do. And so the question is, why in the world did I wait that long? My dad. So I figured out that for the first 40 years of my life, I was living my life to make my father happy. Okay? I went to Harvard so he could be happy. I did all, math, science, everything, and then finally I wanted to be a teacher. He said, no. He thought when I said teachers, I want to be like a Harvard professor. And when I told him I want to be Boston public school teachers, he was like in shock. He said, "What are you doing, right?" So what I'm trying to say to our young people is, and I'm sorry if your daughter's aspirations are different from yours, but
it's for me as well.
Got it. So the point is, you got to live your own life. Okay, find your own passion and your own values and go for it. And don't worry, your parents will come to appreciate it. So my father eventually became very proud of the fact that I was a teacher and my principal, right? But anyway, in terms of art, so my school is now an international baccalaureate school. It's a 国际文凭课程学校. And even before we were at IB school, we started the school with the premise that art would be one of the core subjects. Okay, so most schools, when they say art, they say it's a specialty. Okay, it's a nice to have. And where you really see this coming out is when there's a recession and you're gonna have budget cuts, it's cut. Usually the art teachers are the first to go. In my school, I've never done that. 18 years, we've never ever cut our art teacher. Art is one of the core subjects that gets children have the same amount of time with art as they do math, history, English, science. In my mind, if you think about it, what makes humans humans? Why are we not just like any of the animals? One of the distinctions of humans, Homo sapien, is art. We're one of the I know of no other creatures that spend time creating art. That's actually what makes us human. And if you think the best art really, in some ways, challenge us to be the very best, in terms of who we are. They bring out the best in us. So I am fully committed to art for young people, and I think it's enormously important. And this is where sometimes it challenges the Chinese family value, which is they think, well, you know, don't spend too much time with art because that's not going to increase your SAT. Okay? That's not going to get you into college. But you know what? That's going to make you a much better human being, a much more interesting human being. And ultimately, you know what? Nobody ever asked, you know, the honest truth is, once you leave college, nobody will ever ask, what was your SAT? They'll never ask, they don't even ask even, where'd you go to college? They look at who you are and what you do. And art really, really challenges that. Actually, if you just look outside, you see the 6 towers there? If you go closely later, you'll find they're etched with names. Those are the names of all the Jews who were killed in World War II as part of the Holocaust. I don't know if this is actually true, but the 6 columns remind me of the chimneys of Auschwitz, because most of the, in Birkenstock, but there were all these different places in Poland and Germany where they were burned in these factories, where they were burned, and that looks like the chimney, right? So that's art. It reminds us, sometimes it reminds us the very worst things that we did as human beings, to remind us we should never ever do that again. Okay, never ever. So, the power of art.
Father gave that land. Councilor Flynn's dad was the mayor of the city of Boston.
Yes.
Yeah. But I do know Councilor Flynn has a strong relationship with the Jewish community, and it started when he was a young child. His dad was the mayor of the city of Boston for many years, but he had given that land to the Jewish community to build that artwork there, that installation, to make sure that it was there forever. Because when you talked about public art, sometimes it's there, but then it moves, or you know, it comes down, or we change it. But that's like a permanent space to remember. And when you talked about the chimneys, as you see too, the smoke is part of that also, to remind people that, yeah, it's hard, but it's important. Yeah, but I just wanted to add that.
And I want to add one thing, is the fact that about 6 years ago, the museum was vandalized. The entire city stood up together to not allow that to happen.
Well, thank you. I think we really want to, present a stage to our students, but really thank you for sharing that. It's actually, art is what I do as part of my job, but it's always nice to hear from people from different, different fields to talk about, what it means to them. And I know earlier, we, talked about, because of the pandemic, the rise of AAPI discrimination and hate, that's something, in the museum, even right now on our walls, we have artworks addressing to that issue. And, so I think it's something that people know, again, no matter which field you are, what we're trying to do is to help people to see that, every person is the same as who we are. Every person is a human being. We have shared experiences. Only when we can embrace each other, we can make what is surrounding us better than what it is now. So with that, thank you very much. Thank you for sharing experiences and perspectives. And I'm going to give the mic to Sherry.